Well, we seem to be here, and if we're lucky, we will actually be live right now. So, CANA-DAN, ooh, we haven't spoken for a long
Hello,
time, eh?
hello, Don.
Yeah,
How are
good to.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, just so you know, there's 0 people there at the moment, but we publicised it, and it takes them a while to see it's live and log on and all that sort of stuff. So,
Yeah,
some people are
all
going to
good.
miss the beginning when they come up, but we're just going to keep talking, and they'll watch it in the replay.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
yeah, I don't think we've actually spoken like this since Panama.
No, I don't think so. It's been a little bit. Yeah, for sure. Since we did the little
Yeah,
interview on the dock there.
yeah, it's funny. Eh? I'm looking at you there, and it's as if you're on the space station up in space. You know, you're sort of hanging back here, and it's a little bit
Sitting
like
in my
the,
little
yeah.
my little chair. Yeah.
So, and it's a
Uh,
bit the same. You're on your own spaceship. So, how are you feeling? What's happening right now, like the weather and all that sort of stuff?
right now it's overcast, which sucks because I'm not getting any power into my batteries. The sea state is starting to settle down a bit, but last night, like overnight, and this morning was horrible. Bouncing around, uh, you know, there was a bit of a squall happen just before dark, which wasn't great. So I reduced sail, and I never did put it back up again. So it was quite slow overnight. But I was a little afraid because I couldn't see the clouds and nothing, and there was no moon. So I ended up just kind of coasting along, and I got a terrible sleep. I don't think at all last night actually because I was just getting bounced around and pitched all over the place. So felt like felt like a bull rider at the Calgary Stampede.
Well, right now you look as if you're probably seasick and about to have a heave because every time a wave goes, you go,
Yeah, yeah. No, that's just the boat moving up and down. That's all that
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. Anyway, well, that's pretty cool.
So,
And look, the and you got Starlink. I mean, that's brilliant. What drove the issue of finally getting a Starlink, and how did you get it?
well, my Iridium Go exec failed on the way just after about a week into the Panama Marquesas crossing. So the battery apparently is the issue. So I have to send it back to Canada to get it checked out or whatever. So in the meantime, I had borrowed Adam's Go exec and gave it back to him just in oh shoot, yeah, I guess in Tahiti, I guess. Yeah, and then I got the Starlink just set up the day before, a couple days before I left Tahiti. So it's all new to me, but it seems to be working out pretty good. It seems to connect fairly quickly, and so far so good. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, a bit of a game changer, eh? So that's cool. So
yeah,
first sort of thing I'm interested in. I mean, you're not halfway around the world yet, but you've sailed more distance than a lot of the entrants because you sailed from Canada down to the start. And once again, I mean, it was sounded like a fun stopover in Tahiti, but is it delivering what you always expected and imagined? You know, when you started to build your boat, you know what I mean? Like, is it still fun, or it's a bit of a grind now? You know, like here we go again. I got to go to bloody sea. You know, try and describe
yeah.
that.
No, no, it's not a grind, that's for sure. It's quite exciting, um, and some of the crew will that a day or two before I'm supposed to leave, I get pretty anxious, I guess, or nervous. I don't know. I just feel like I have so many things that I need to do. But in reality, it just all happens, between customs and immigration and getting provisions and making sure the boat is settled and making sure there's nothing damaged or whatever that I overlooked and just double checking things. But it is all of what I thought it was going to be once I entered the race. When I was building the boat, I had no intentions of doing any races, but it just sort of evolved from there. Um, but no, it's good. I feel good about going to sea, and yeah, I feel confident in the ability of the boat and myself, and then just based on what the weather forecast happens to be, for us for the next couple of days, I think it's going to be a little bit of the same of what I'm seeing, unless that storm moves north, which I don't think it's going to. Um, so I think it's going to be an interesting passage because I think we're going to see some light seas, light airs coming up soon, in a couple of days possibly. So we'll see how that all transpires. How many of us are going to get stuck in that wind hole? So which isn't going to be great. Hopefully there'll be a little bit of breeze to keep us moving, and then I can make some miles on my rival. You know who my
Yeah.
rival is, huh, Don?
Yeah, absolutely.
The
The,
Catalonian girl.
yeah.
She's tough and she's wise, so she's a
Yep.
hard one to catch up to.
Yep, absolutely. So
Yeah,
you just described something that a lot of people don't realize when you're a boat, even if you're cruising, let alone racing. When you hit shore, you want to relax and you want to have fun and hamburgers and drinks and people and all that. But it's always in the back of your mind, oh, I've got this work to do. I've got to be prepared because it's going to start again. And
yeah,
I always know when you finish your 6 months cruise or whatever it is, it's like this huge relief. You don't have to worry about weather or dragging anchors or it's the trade-off. And that,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, this
exactly.
past the time in Tahiti, it seemed to go by really fast because it usually takes me a day to get my head back on straight, and just get used to land again and figure out what I need to do, clean up the boat. And so maybe by the second day, I kind of have the boat kind of settled a little bit, and then I can go and do other things. And then a couple of days before, I'm busy getting other things, like I said,
Yeah,
immigration, customs, cleaning the boat, getting provisions, all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Um, so it doesn't leave a lot of time in between, actually. So the 7 day stop was quite a whirlwind, really. I did get around a little bit in the city and saw some sights and a few things, but I wish I would have done more, actually. Um, it kind of worked out okay. I ended up staying only on my boat only one night. I don't know if you heard about that, but I
I
ended up,
saw that. Yeah,
yeah, so I befriended one of the guys with a catamaran. So somehow I convinced him to let me stay on his catamaran for the duration of the time I was there. So I was on a 2-year-old 11-meter cat for 5 or 6 nights or whatever it was. So I feel pretty privileged. It was nice taking care of his catamaran, and
yeah,
I had a fridge with some cold beer in it, and it was pretty nice.
yeah.
But
Cool.
I kind of stuck around there. I didn't really venture off too far.
Yeah, yeah. Too true. Hey, look, we love seeing all the photos and everything. What you're doing when you're on shore. Two things that just came to mind. One is what I'm interested just to know what would have you thought is a nice stopover time? It was 7 days in Papeete. Would you rather stay 10 days or because there's a balance there?
Yeah, there's the balance there, and I wonder. I would have liked a couple more days,
Yeah,
just to be able to go and explore, rent a car, maybe drive around the
yeah,
island, do a few things like that. We had talked about that, a bunch of us, and it just never transpired because it just didn't seem like the timing worked out very well.
yeah,
But maybe some flexibility on how we spend these times at the islands. That might be a suggestion
yeah,
down the
yeah,
road for the next edition, maybe, and have some latitude on how many days you actually stay at a port or something. But yeah, it was a little bit short. 7 was a bit short. 8 in Marquesas was good. 8 coming up in Tonga, I think, is going to be good as well, especially
yeah.
knowing that there's a short distance to get to
Good
Fiji.
anchorages.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. The other one is you're looking pretty good, actually. It's always fun to look at the photos when people get in,
oh,
and some of the crews are looking a bit thin. They've lost a lot of weight, which is natural because it
yeah,
happens to me every time I go to sea because you're not got this fridge full of rubbish that you go to every
yeah,
5 minutes.
yeah.
But
I
how
heard
do you?
you say that,
Yeah,
but
yeah. How do you feel physically? Like, you look good. You don't seem to have lost much weight, and you know,
well, I have. Once you see me in person, Don, you'll see that I've lost some weight for sure. Actually, Popeye and I, we both weighed ourselves in Antigua before we left. So I have my weight written down somewhere on my phone, and I'll have to weigh myself when I get to Fiji somewhere. So I wanted
yeah,
to do a couple legs. Oh, I've lost some weight for sure. Yeah, it's
yeah.
I could
So
feel
what
it in
about you?
my
What about your
my
health? How do you feel? Still got energy. You still got the spark and all that.
yeah, yeah. It's I feel pretty good. I think I'm eating pretty balanced diet when I'm out here. Um, the it becomes a little bit of the same, especially on the Panama Marquesas run. That was a bit long for me. I found that really challenging because the food ended up being all the same, obviously, and it was
Yeah,
just sort of I ran out of some stuff, some fun food stuff, and it was all just the same stuff. So it wasn't fabulous, but the shorter runs are a little easier, that's for sure, because there's it's pretty quick down the pipe. It's not 4,300 miles to get to your destination. That was a bit much, that one, and especially around this area too. If something does come up, there's places to duck out. Like there's hundreds and hundreds of islands around here. Like it's just amazing how many little atolls are scattered in this area. It's really, really cool. So
yeah.
But yeah, I think I got provisioned. I probably provisioned the best since I left Portugal, I would think. Yeah, I got some nice groceries at the Carrefour, and all stocked up. I'm probably good to Fiji, actually. So
yeah.
yeah.
I know what you mean. The French, so in France and in Papeete, similar thing. They got awesome supermarkets for long-term voyaging.
Oh,
The stuff you can buy in tins and jars and stuff is awesome.
yeah. I had some two that are. It's like a wet type meal. You just heat it up in the microwave or on a saucepan. So I've been doing that the past couple of nights. Had a really nice beef stew last night. A little bit of French baguette and some butter and jam and the whole works. It was really nice.
That's cool.
Dipped in the stew, so it was good.
Yeah. So you're very good descriptive, because you're partly a teacher and all that sort of stuff. You built your boat. You're sailing around the world. Do you ever sort of take a step off the boat every now and then? And I know you would, and think like imaginary, and take stock of what you're actually doing, in this little boat sailing around the world and so on. And I know you're working the social media well, and you've got quite a following. You're inspiring other people. But what's your personal take on it? You obviously you join. I just want you to try and describe what's happening in that regard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think while I'm sailing and while it's actually happening and while I'm looking at the tracker and the race part of it, I don't think I focus too much on that. But like you said, when I do get to shore and step back away from the boat and see it from a distance, and it happened actually in Tahiti. Christian, Daniel, and I were having a beverage just at the bar across from the boats, and I was just looking at the boats in the evening, listening to this live band. The weather is beautiful, and I just said to the two guys, I says, "Do you guys realize that we built these boats at home, and we're in freaking Tahiti? We sailed here? Like, are you kidding me?" Like, I was just blown away. It was just, it was really, it kind of just hit home, and that was just at the first night it was the first night I was in Tahiti. And, I guess it was the second night because Christian had showed up. So it was night number 2. And, like the people you meet at these different places, and it's just amazing. And the connections and all kinds of stuff like that. It's really blown me away. And that's part of inspiring people too, is, stepping outside the box and doing something that you think is non-achievable. But if you push yourself and keep at it, it really makes a big difference, and you can do what you think you might be able to do. Like you can achieve those dreams. It was never a dream of mine to sail oceans, that's for sure. Everybody says, "Oh, you're living your dream." That was never my dream. I didn't aspire to be an ocean sailor. It just sort of evolved in the past number of years since I bought the plans, and it just sort of evolved into this. And part of the big thing is the family, the community of 580 racers, like the MGR racers right now. Like, it's lifelong friends, honestly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna have some good times during the race, and I'm sure we're gonna have some good times after the race.
That's a very interesting point, because you got a long way to go yet. So
two
things. When I came down, I got to sit down and when I write the press release or the newsletter, say, "Oh, what are we going to talk about?" And the first thing was the cheapest, 10,000 miles into it, basically, but there's still 18,000 miles to go. And then the next one was that really we're all, like you, me, all the other entrants, we're making it look too easy, and I know it's not. That's the reality. I mean, it's really tough, and you take stock and said, if you looked at one sailor in a little 19-foot boat going around, like, it's a huge story. And because it's an organised sort of thing, grouping all the independent voyages together, I think people think it's a bit of a rally, but but it's like, wow, even I'm impressed. you know, so
Yeah,
so
that's. I think if you had a GoPro on each person for 24 hours during a day, or
yeah,
random times during, I think you'd find out how tough it really is. No, not you, Don, but because you've
yeah,
already transat in these boats. But it is not easy. It's not an easy boat to be in.
yeah.
Your living space is very cramped, and I say the boat is very dynamic. That's my word for it.
Oh, it's my
It
word too.
it's I'm still learning things, how to sail the boat, and little tricks and things like that. And we're helping each other out too, all of us. Different things. We get to the dock and we look at each other's boats and we're like, "Hey, what do you got going here?" And everybody's willing to share and make sure everybody's safe, keep our butts on the boat and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah.
fun boat.
I
It's
think part of
definitely a seaworthy boat. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think part of the reason it looks too easy is because every time we're doing something like now, conditions are good and people think, wow, that's incredible. That looks cool. Try
Yeah.
and describe to me some of the down moments, anytime you like, from building the boat to where you are today, leaving Papeete. I know there's down moments, you question what you're doing and stuff. Can you verbalize that at all? Some of the bad times, or not bad weather, but just the psychology
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah, that's a big part of this whole race is the head games that maybe other entrants are playing with you or you're playing with yourself because uh, yeah, it's not an easy thing to keep your mind focused on the race and focused on you being healthy and all that kind of stuff. Um, Probably down moments for me probably happened the most during the Panama Marquesas run because it just was so long, and there was lots of ups and downs. And my managing crew, my wife, my kids can tell you that there was times where I was like I could sell the boat for $1, and there was times I couldn't get enough of it. It was just super fun, and I had to put myself in the mindset of for the most part, other than today, actually, um, it's usually pretty sunny skies. And I had to put myself in the mindset of, if I was at home, I would go out sailing today because today is a beautiful day for sailing, and spin the positive of it because yeah, you can get pretty down in the dumps in terms of not being able to. One of the biggest things for me was not being able to communicate with people after my Go Exec went down.
Yeah,
So for me, it was a pretty big safety issue. I was a little bit panicky because I couldn't reach people the way I was doing before. I still had a texting device, but it was a long story, but it didn't work well, and it was basic uh, communications, which really really bothered me. So yeah, I think that was probably the worst part. The other piece was probably leaving my family at the beginning of back in November when I left to go to Portugal to get the boat ready. It was a pretty tough go for me to leave everybody, and I'm heading over there. I did go with my nephew, so that was good. He was there the day before me, so we met up and spent 10 days with him, getting the boat ready and all that kind of stuff. But then when he left, it was yeah, it was pretty lonely. It was pretty just me there, and then
there were no other
Popeye said
family around, no other entrants around either. There's a bit of a difference when
nobody
you got other
there.
folks.
I
Yeah,
think 4 or 5, 6 days later, whatever it was, a week later, Popeye and Sweet Pea showed up, and their boats weren't there. And then a few days after that, Daniel showed up, and his boat wasn't there. So those guys are in coast mode because they're just waiting for their boats, and I'm feverishly have my list of things to do, and they can only help so much, right? So they were doing touristy stuff, and I was working on my boat, and I was just like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. To think that I'm actually, I thought that this was a good idea. Like
yeah,
I don't know how to do this, but at least I had, one ocean crossing already under my belt, and I knew I could do it, and I knew overall I enjoyed it for the most part. But I think now I'm really enjoying it. I'm really settled into what I need to do and what the boat requires, and yeah, so
yeah,
it's a matter of now the race, the weather, making sure I'm safe, keeping in contact with the other racers, keeping in contact with friends and family, stuff like that. That's an
Yeah.
important piece for me.
You've now going through something that I go through in all of my adventures whenever you do them. You've got now, you've obviously got an investment in your time and money and everything that was set up to do the event, like to sail around the world. But now you're getting towards a halfway point. You've now got a huge investment in this sort of opportunity to you're going to circumnavigate. Touchwood, you know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah,
so that drives you. That used to drive me forward. Do you feel that as well now? It's too
yeah.
late to pull out now. You know.
Oh no, not gonna pull out. That's for sure. But yeah, the challenging times are coming ahead. I think, like you said, we've made it look pretty easy because we've had good weather. We've had pretty easy downwind runs. Super, lots of wind to keep us moving and keep us moving forward on the legs, and doing some record times in my books. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
our crossings are very good. I think from here on in, there's going to be some big challenges, and
You must
Captain
feel ready for
Coconut.
that now, though. You know, that's the big part of it because I've always said part of the, obviously people think when we even said about we're going to run a race of minis around the world, they say you're bloody crazy. They didn't actually say
Yeah,
that. They said you're effing crazy. You know, it'll never work. You know, it's impossible. But I always look at it as it's a progression. So you did the Atlantic, you qualified, you do the next bit, and yes, you've
yeah,
got the Southern Ocean or the top of the Southern Ocean into Cape Town. But and I'm totally confident. Touch wood. Do you feel as if you're at a level now where you're getting an understanding, and yes, this is becoming possible to go down to Cape Town and
yeah,
all that? Yeah,
yeah. It is possible for sure. And even Captain Coconut and I and Adam were talking 3 or 4 nights ago, and he was providing some local knowledge too about a few different areas. And those are the conversations we need to have to give us some insight on what these passages look like and what's safe for us to do and what's not safe for us to do, because um, we just you don't know what you don't know, right?
yeah,
And there's not a lot of passage books, not a lot of cruising books for different areas that we're going through, especially in this type of boat too, right? It's different if you have
yeah,
a diesel engine that holds 100 liters of fuel and you can motor through and push 6.5 knots for 2 days or 3 days. That's different, but we can't do that. So those are the concerns I have. Is mainly making sure we're all safe and getting through these areas in a timely
yeah,
manner so that we can make it
yeah.
all happen. So
Well, the
I
good
think
news is
little by little,
we've got some great connections with the guys in Durban in South Africa. They're right on
uh,
top of it. They're on fire. They're really excited about the whole fleet coming to Durban,
yeah,
and then they'll be providing a huge amount of local knowledge to get around the corner. We've got some really
yeah,
good sailors
nice,
there, really good people, super excited, very welcoming. So we'll be talking a lot about that in Fiji.
yeah,
Yeah, it's all part of the
okay,
course. Okay, so
excellent,
now
excellent.
tell me the peak of the peak. What's the absolute best thing that you got going on? Doing this stuff. Where's the sort of wow? This is
I think similar to what I said before, it was just the realization that I'm actually sailing to these places and near these places. Like I'm sailing in the South Pacific Ocean. Like I'm 17 degrees south right now,
yeah, yeah.
looking at stars I've never seen before in my life. I sailed by Bora Bora last night. I sailed by Bora Bora. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like I just came from Tahiti, Marquesas. I was in that little paradise bay with all my friends, and it was just amazing. Like it's just, wow. But
yeah.
I
It's like
think
all the
that
stuff you used to read about, and you used to think there's a shit on here. You know?
absolutely. You only saw pictures of all this stuff when we went to we call it Paradise Bay, but in the Marquesas, 4 or 5
Yeah,
of us that were in there. But we had a grand time. It was wonderful to share that experience with them and see the sharks and see the not manta rays, the other type of rays, and the
yeah.
turtles, and they were swimming underneath my boat that I built in my garage. Like, are you kidding me? It's just amazing. Like it's just
Oh
so
boy.
that's been one of the highlights. Actually, was visiting that bay with the crew. So that was nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that's all good. And how's the boat holding up? Like, like electronics and sails and rig and all that sort of stuff. Where's the issues if there are any?
Yeah. When I come into port, I don't have to call a sailmaker. I don't have to call a rigger. I have been taking care of my sails, taking care of my Selden rig. Other than that, like I haven't put a hole in a sail yet. Touch wood. But yeah, the boat is good. I got a few leaks here and there. Like some of my windows are starting to leak. I'll have to reseal them, maybe at Fiji or something. A couple little things like that. But no big damages. Nothing other than chafed lines and chafed halyards and things like that. But yeah, I'm really trying to be cautiously conservative, but still trying to push a little bit to try and keep up with the
catch Renaud or
catch Renaud.
Or Pilo.
In all reality, they're not really all that far ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know about Pilar today, but she did a pretty good overnight passage. So she stepped it up when I dropped my sails. So we'll see what happens.
Did you probably heard you got the title of being in the lead group and you're still there? Did you feel pretty happy about that? Because you're back in the pack for a while, but now you're right up there. And even, before I get into the response, you're completely right. Like to be sort of 4 or 5 days behind the leader when you've still got 18,000 miles to go is absolutely nothing. We've seen it all before. Things happen.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, you're in the lead pack. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good for sure. And moving into Tahiti, I was little by little incrementally getting closer and closer to Carrie and Pilar. And
yeah, you're doing well, man. Yeah.
Even up to last night, I was only 70 miles behind Carrie. So I don't know what it's like now, but I think they did a little bit better on me last night. But little by little, I'm just trying to conservatively push a little harder. And we got a little bit of a long run here. I think I still have 1,050 miles to go, something like that, 1,075, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So
describe to me, because you do surprise me because your boat with all the stuff when it was in, in Portugal, I sort of thought it was more of not a cruising boat, but you got a lot of gear on your boat, and yet right out of the stock, you started to perform really well. So, sheesh, Dan's going for it, and so now it's all happening. You'd absolutely, and I'm saying that with respect when I say cruising boat. You're not a cruising boat. You perform well.
No, but I do have a lot of stuff on board. Like I was geared up. Like I got spares of all kinds of stuff. I was thinking I had way too much stuff. I got a pack raft.
Yeah, you still got your deck chair. Your deck chair, your folding chair.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Not getting rid of that. I use that in the Marquesas at our Paradise Bay. Pack raft. I got spare rudders. I got spare this, that, and the next thing. But I mean, I was third in the qualifier. I was fourth in the Transat. I was third in leg one, and I'm sitting fifth right now, only like 70 miles behind the third place person. So I'm feeling okay. Like I'm not.
Is good.
Yeah. I'm competitive, but I also want to have some fun while I'm out here and not, arrive at the end of the leg or the end of the passage and fall on the floor because I haven't slept for 3 days. So I'm not into that either. I don't like to hand steer, so pretty much my Johnny G Sail-O-Mat does the job 98% of the time. I hand steer very, very little. I spend hours trying to tweak that thing so I don't have to touch it. And I've sort of, I think after this 10, 11,000, however many miles I've done, I think I've sort of figured it out. I don't think I've figured it out totally, but it takes so long. There's so many nuances to it, right? Different wind conditions, different seas, and it's tough to keep the stern of my boat in the water. I slew down I swerved down the waves like the drunk Panama taxi cab driver I had there last. So.
You sound a bit like me to a degree because I'm happy to hand steer, but I'd rather let the wind vane do the work. Some of the others are hand steering all the time, And Renaud was saying he's only getting 3 hours sleep a night for the whole passage. I said, wow, I'd be dead on my feet. So to try and describe to me because you're absolutely racing, but at the same time you're pacing yourself. I can see that, and looking after the boat, you're doing a great job. But describe to me your racing attitude. What's the defining moments in terms of performance? Do you go for top speeds? Do you go for average speeds? If you think, I got to get up and do that right now, or so no, I might wait a little bit. Try and describe your racing scenario.
Yeah. I think it's kind of long-term goals. I think for me, um, I look at kind of like the averages and that sort of thing. I want to race. I'm competitive, but at the same time, I want to enjoy myself.
That's
So
exactly
I
the
don't
words that I use for me. I want to
I don't
race,
want
but I'm going to enjoy it. Yeah.
to I don't want to be sitting on the edge of the seat, with Velcro on my ass to keep myself in the boat either. But having said that, I have an A3 and an A5 up right now. I have everything up that I can, and that's all I can do. Short of putting my underwear up on the freaking shrouds, that's I got everything up. Maybe I could put these blankets up. I got a couple towels here. Is that allowed, Tom?
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I'm going to
So,
try and get some of the questions from the people here. We've got quite a few people here now. In fact, quite a few. Sounds like fun. G'day. Dan looks like an Amoka skipper. Yeah, you do actually. That's what it is. You look. Warren's saying you look like an Amoka skipper in your bloody chair. That's what it is. Good
yeah,
one, Warren.
I
I
looked. I
agree.
looked. I looked for a chair to put in this boat actually because I saw that from GGR Edward. Edward has the big chair in his boat, and I thought
Yeah,
that's actually a good idea actually. But I couldn't
yeah,
find one that was sort of small enough to work. But yeah, I'm sitting in kind of a nice little propped up area.
yeah.
That's because I'm sitting athwartship in my boat too. I'm
Yeah.
probably the only one that sits like that or lays like that.
I think you're right. I tried that once and I never got into it. I'll sit leaning up against the hull, but I'll never lay back. I always
Yeah.
find,
Renault,
yeah,
I showed Renault what I have going on, and Renault put the same system in his. So I don't know
yeah,
if he does it or
yeah.
whatever. But anyway,
Rachel wants to know if you're eating Mike's spinach because you seem to be going fast since Tahiti.
hey,
Um,
that's good. As long as she's keeping an eye on that, that's great. Hopefully, actually, my speeds seem to be pretty quick up until last night, and then Pilar, I think, stepped it up a notch. I think so.
yeah, okay. Just wondering about how you keep your race strategy secret from the other entrants. There are probably some things secret, but most things you share. How do you manage that?
I just laugh a lot and carry on and
Yeah,
make stupid comments and stuff like that, and
yeah,
just tell everybody I have no strategy. I don't know.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so who knows?
Yep, too true. Oh, jeepers. We got the old man himself here. I want you to picture this, the quintessential Yank sitting back smoking a cigar. He's a sailor. Did the GGR. Guy DeBoer's here with asking a question. So,
Oh,
g'day, Guy. We
oh
haven't
yeah,
spoken for a long time. He's an ex-GGR. Sadly,
yes,
anyway, you
yeah,
probably know.
I watched them too. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, cool. Anyway, good to see you, Guy. You're eating better than I planned on the GGR. There you go. So the funny part is, we got quite a few, not quite a few. There are a few Golden Globe race skippers thinking, "Jeepers, I wouldn't mind doing the mini one day." Doing the mini Globe race,
Right,
and we got
right.
Ayrton there already, of course. Anyway,
Burton, yeah.
yeah.
It's funny because somebody said to me before I started the MGR, I think it might have been my manager, Captain Morgan. He says, "Oh, maybe after you do this, you'll set your sights on a GGR." And I thought, I'd have the experience, I'd have the knowledge, and some navigational skills, and going
Absolutely.
around with Captain Coconut. He's a wealth
Yep.
of information, and
Yep.
yada yada yada.
Well,
But
look,
then I started getting into this, and then I did the passage from Panama to the Marquesas, and that squashed that whole idea. You're not going to see me enter the GGR.
Listen, you should never say never. You should never
Well,
say never. I've seen so
well,
many people step off their boats, and so many. They say,
I
"Shit,
just,
I'm going to take up gardening now. That's it." And bingo. A few years
I,
later, they're back.
yeah, I just can't see myself doing 200 and some days without constant communication with people, and I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe my tune will change towards the end. You can ask me that in Antigua again. We'll see.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
Etienne, also the winner of the first Transat, he's now in the GGR. Got a trade win 35, putting it together, and so he's progressed that way. And there's another 580. I won't mention names. That's also on the edge of GGR. So it
Uh-oh.
happens.
Is it?
Yeah,
Sorry,
it happens. Yeah,
Etienne's doing the GPR.
yeah. Etienne's bought
Yes,
a
I did hear
trade
about
win
that.
35. Yeah, so
Ah,
he's
nice.
doing the refit now. He'll be a hot hot prospect. I mean, anyway, that we digress. Okay, so what have we got? Have you used? This is the handle of the guy or girl who's the social media post. It's called I am, right? So Mr. I or Mrs. I am is asking,
Okay.
have you used your dagger boards yet?
I use them all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you
Actually,
use them? How?
I usually
Both
have
down or?
one all the way down, because we need, with the people with the servo pendulums, we need some traction in the water. We don't have enough traction in the water, so I usually have one down all the way and one halfway down. That's kind of been my thing I've been doing. And I use, they're just built to plans, whatever Pitor had suggested for the length. They're not much longer. They're not longer at all. So usually let me just think here. Usually the one that's all the way down would be on the windward side. So for example, if it was southeast east wind right now, I would have it down on the port side, and the starboard side one would be like halfway. And the halfway down one thinking is then it doesn't like hydro lock my rudder between that and the dagger board. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's challenging. It's
Yeah.
and like I said, I'm still swerving all down the waves and everything else, so it's not an easy thing.
Yeah, too true. Hey, you got a big fan here. Mr. Ron Turk is saying g'day. He's following it all, so go Dan,
That's my nephew. That's my nephew that
your
helped me
nephew.
in Portugal. Woo-hoo!
Okay. Yeah, well, he's there. Another big one. What about Rachel's? What about exercise on board? Do you feel you have to exercise, to keep tuned
I
up?
I definitely am. Yeah, I do all kinds of drop squats I do all kinds of stuff in the cockpit. It's I'm wearing out the sea deck in the bottom of the boat. I'm running on the spot. I'm doing squats. I'm doing little push-ups, and I was
Yeah,
just in Tahiti. I went to an osteopath there. He gave me a whole bunch more stretches and exercises to do, and so I kind of do some yoga on my bench here on my bed, most that I can. I had that issue with the sciatica nerve coming into Antigua, so I had some stretches and exercises to do there. So yeah, I keep active, because when I did my first crossing to Portugal with the boat, I didn't do anything, zero. And when I got to the Azores, and then when I got to Portugal, I could hardly walk. It took me probably 2 weeks or so to get back so I could walk.
yeah,
15 minutes is all I could do, and I had to sit down. It
yeah,
was horrible. So
yeah. Geez.
now I do all my exercises. When I get on land, I barely have sea legs.
Yeah,
Maybe for a couple hours, and then that's it. I'm totally fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
What about sleep patterns? What do you do for sleep patterns? Like how do
Uh,
you
it's,
manage your sleep?
well, it's all over the place. I'll sleep longer when I'm out in the middle of nowhere. But like when I was near the islands here, just leaving Tahiti, for example, I set an alarm for every 45 minutes or so, and have my chart plotter on all the time. So I'm up quite often to check on things, especially if I know the weather's okay. I'm a little more at ease. But if the weather's crap, I don't sleep very much. Even last night, I didn't sleep very much just because the boat was bouncing around so much. But once I'm out at sea and there's lots of wide open space, I'm sleeping a little bit more, like maybe a couple hours at a time. Get up, look around, take a peek. Everything's good. Go back to sleep.
Yeah,
Very
yeah. It's
very
exactly,
little.
yeah, you do. That's exactly what I do too. You do a risk assessment, basically. So, what's the
Yeah,
potential? Okay, I'll go every hour. Every hour, bang, getting up. As soon as
yeah,
that lowers, sometimes I'll sleep as long as it takes. I won't set an alarm. I'll just go for it. But
yeah. And
I'm
I
not one
find
of the.
when I'm at the ports now, like even in Tahiti and the Marquesas, I'm up usually 2 or 3 times during the night. I just wake up and I'm like,
Yeah.
crap, like this is my normal routine now. I don't know if I'm ever going to get out of this.
Oh, you
Yeah,
will. My routine's really simple. When I get in after the trip, the first night I'm dead to the world. Right, I'm completely gone. Second night, big problem. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I'll be sleepwalking effectively. I'll be pushing on the walls, and who's on watch? Everybody, where's the
yeah.
autopilot button? Or the second and
Oh,
third night,
exactly.
total nightmare, and then you're back into it slowly. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Or you wake up and you're you're looking around, or you maybe had a dream or something, and you wake up and you think something's happening, but you're not even, like I was on that catamaran, and I'm like, I thought I was on my boat or something, and I'm looking around for things. I'm like, where am I? I didn't even know where I was one night. I was like,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
messed up. So,
yeah. Too true. Yeah.
but
What about you've qualified now with your sextant and everything and all the rest of it. How do you feel about having? I won't say being forced into having to do it because of the race, but did you enjoy the whole sextant thing? Celestial navigation.
yeah, I did. I did. It was challenging. Like I said this to a few others. Like I thought a big thing was doing the noon sight, and then once I got that under my belt, it was like, oh, okay, it's super easy. But to do the other sites, I found it really challenging, and to the plotting and like, oh gosh, I spent so much time on that, but it's good. I really enjoy it, and I think there's some nostalgic value in that, and I think
Yeah,
there's to have that feather in your cap to say that you know how to do something like that, where there's not a lot of people in the world know how to do that kind of stuff, honestly.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
and having Captain Coconut there, Mark Sinclair, as a resource at the beginning in Antigua,
yeah.
it's just amazing. It's just amazing to have that ability, and maybe that's maybe that's just one step closer to the GGR, I suppose. I guess I wouldn't have to prove that now, would I, Don?
No, no. The biggest, you just okay, just I mean, no commitment, no guarantees, or anything, but just start thinking about what sort of boat you'd use. There's quite a few choices out there, and just one step at a time.
I'll buy Edwards Rustler 36. I've been already on it, and I like his setup.
Yeah, he's underway at the moment.
No,
He's left again. He's on his way to the South Boulogne, and
I know.
that's his
We
sixth or
chat
seventh.
we
But
chat quite often.
yeah, good. Yeah, yeah. No, a great guy. So yeah, the GGR is a bigger version of this, of course. But anyway, all interesting. Apparently, your grandma is watching over you as well. So says Ron. Okay.
Ah,
Uh,
yes.
yeah,
My boat's named after her, after my
yeah,
mom.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Uh, you got? Have you got your penalty? And if so, what was it? No, he hasn't got his penalty yet. We're going to discuss it in Fiji, and so we'll go from there. There's a few people we've got to discuss about, but we'll see how it goes. Christine, wow, Dan, thanks for the memory of the first day I met in Portugal. That's an amazing achievement to date. That's Christine, our pseudo photographer and follower of the
Ah,
great
yes.
race.
Yeah.
She's everywhere.
Awesome. Hi, Christine. Yeah,
Yeah, in
love
fact,
it.
thinking about it, I'll have to do an interview on her because people are probably wondering what the hell. Just to qualify, we are giving her first class tickets to fly around the world as part of the support from the race. We pay for her airfares, her accommodation, all her meals. We give her uniforms, everything. She's just one of our employees. Joke. She's a complete volunteer.
I was like, wow, I'd like to get in on that gig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Anyway, so I'll have to at some point around the world because she's literally going into all the places. I'll
Yeah.
have to do an interview on her, and she was with us in the Ocean Globe race as well. She's great, just a
Yeah.
volunteer, completely having a great time, living
Yeah.
life. Anyway,
No, she's been doing well.
uh, Ron's got something here. Throw up the tighty whities, Dan. I don't know what the tighty whities are, or maybe I should know.
Oh, the underwear. Tighty whities.
Oh, right, yeah. Put them over your
Throw up,
head.
throw up everything you got. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're
Go
getting a bit
fast.
long here, so I'm going to chop through things. Oh, yeah, they're all the same ones. We got Simon Lopez. It's in another language. Yep. Can't get that. The Dominican Republic. Sorry about that, Simon. Yes, you're going to have to heaps. Okay, we're getting to the end of it anyway. So yeah. Okay. So, geez, we've been at it for 3/4 of an hour.
Yeah.
Anything you want to get across to your followers, or what would you say to anyone building a 580 right now?
Yeah, keep on keeping on. It's a great process. I know there's a lot of new builders. I just went through my Facebook posts and friend requests, and there's a whole bunch of new builders that are looking for some support and stuff like that. So it's a good community. Keep on pushing forward. Decide on what you want to do for events. Maybe you do something local. I race my boat local as well. The community is great. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So that's perfect. yeah, I really appreciate everybody following along, trying to catch up with comments and all that kind of stuff. And I guess I'll be able to do a better job as long as we have some sunshine. My batteries, I think I'll be laughing. So, but yeah, share my posts to get the word out, and it helps me out with potential sponsors, and just that general public support is really handy. The ups are words of encouragement as time goes on. It's not just one, hey, good job, it's keeping those comments coming, so that's really helpful.
Yeah, no, you're doing a good job, Dan. I mean, everyone is, but it's good to see you, what you're doing. I know you've got a huge following, so all part of the fun. All right, listen, thanks for the power, the electrical energy. I know it's not cheap these days. So your batteries,
yeah. I'm looking at my amp hours right now, and it's not a great situation, but
yeah, all right. Well, we'll get out of here. It's a bit
we'll
longer
good.
than we thought. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, mate. So I'm going to sign off. You can stay there. We'll sign out together or whatever it is. But I'm not going to do the tracker now. It's a bit late. So I'll come up with the tracker in about 15, 20 minutes, a separate post. So we'll talk about bits. But yeah, really cool, Dan. We, as you know, have offered it to everyone, but a lot of them have been too busy to come in. And you're the first one. So hopefully we'll do some more entrants. Okay.
Yeah, right on.
All good.
Okay, we'll see you. See you in Fiji.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep it up, and I'll try and do a fancy out here and see what happens. Oh, I got the right screen. Hit that. See you, Dan.
All right, have a good one. Bye, everyone. Keep following along.
Mini Globe Race 2025.
Bye for now.
Small boat, huge adventure.